So come into a lying down position. And invite yourself to come into a deep stillness. Be quite still here. And as you settle yourself onto your mat, and allow the body to open, perhaps with the hands at the side or the legs, letting them fall open. And take the next moment or so to adjust your body so it's as comfortable as it can be. And then come into stillness. Come into deep stillness and invite the eyes to close. And allow your presence to turn inward, dropping into the body. A little bit more. And as you breathe in, do a scan of the whole body, feet, ankles, legs, buttocks, hips and pelvis. Feel the entire lower body. And then inhaling, coming into the lower, mid, and upper back. Inhaling, feel the breadth of the abdomen and all the internal organs. And as you breathe in, feel the front of the ribs, the side of the ribs, the back of the ribs expand. Feeling the heart and lungs, the arms, the throat and head. And as you breathe in, feeling the entire body breathing. And if there's anywhere that there's tension or unease in the body, allow the breath to move to that area, just softening. And then allow the breath to deepen. As you inhale, feel the inhale come in through the nostrils. And then expand through the belly, the ribs, up to the top of the lungs. And then exhaling, releasing. 3 more deep breaths, just like this. And then inhaling once more. And on the exhale, bringing the right leg into the chest. And then on the inhale, switching legs, the left leg in as you exhale. And then taking your time, alternating legs, allowing the thigh to land on the ribs or the chest on an exhale. And then bringing both knees into chest, tucking chin, pressing back into earth, pressing knees and shins and thighs down into chest. And then bringing knees up to the ceiling, keeping feet off the ground. And perhaps hands stay on top of the knees. And then begin to draw small circles on the ceiling with the knees, round and round in circles. Perhaps you wish to drop the hands down beside the hips and do full circles. Maybe you need a little bit more support today and you want to keep your hands on the knees. And then one more circle this way. And then changing direction. And then one more circle. And then bringing feet to standing with knees up toward the ceiling. Bringing hands down beside hips with palms down to earth. Heels are close to buttocks and feet are flat. Ankles, knees, and hips are aligned. Come into stillness for one full breath. And then pressing down the fullness of your back into the earth, raising the hips slightly. And then shifting direction so you create space in the lower back. And then rocking back and forth without lifting up too much here, just rocking, awakening the spine. What happens with the rest of the spine and the head as you're rocking back and forth? And then you can stay here rocking. You can begin to lift the hips up to the sky and then bring them down and rock. And so begin to add that rocking, but lifting the hips up to the sky and then rocking down, really awakening the spine here. Keeping chin tucked and not looking side to side during this because the top of the spine is quite sensitive. And then the next time you lift your hips up, if it feels right, hold up here. You can continue rocking if you'd prefer, getting the body stable, pressing up to the sky, tucking chin toward chest. While you're up here, hold, like kind of clench is too strong a word, hold steady with the buttocks. That gives your torso support. And if you want to add more spice, bring the weight a little bit more to the left foot and raise the right foot up to the air. And then the right foot comes down, pressing down on the right foot. If you wish, inviting the left foot up to the air. And then releasing. And then slowly, taking several breaths, bring the spine back down. And then widen the feet a little bit. And bring the arms out more to a T, and then drop the knees to the right, turning the head to the left. And then drop the knees to the left, turning the head to the right. And go back and forth like this in slow, easy movements. One more each way. And then bringing the knees up to standing. So your feet are still flat, ankles, knees, and hips aligned. And then raise the right leg up so that the foot is the sole of the foot is facing the ceiling. The leg is straight up. Keeping the left foot flat. And then clasp either the thigh, the back of the thigh, or the back of the calf. And then the leg straightish, bring it towards the torso. And if you wish to lift your nose to the knee, you can do that now. Dropping the head back down if you brought it up. And then holding the back of the calf, add circles to the right ankle. Slow, sensual circles. Only moving the ankle, but tuning into where else you feel this. First one way. And then changing direction. And then dropping the right ankle to the left thigh. And then bringing in the left, well, both legs in toward the chest, reaching through and clasping the thigh or the shin. Flexing the right foot and notice the difference that might make in your right hip area or piriformis. One more breath here. And then releasing left leg back to standing. And right leg comes straight up again, and then bringing hands down beside hips, pressing down, and then flexing foot. Take to the count of about 10, pressing down with your lower back to lower the straight right leg to the earth. And then bringing that right foot to standing beside the left. And then left foot comes straight up, left leg comes straight up, clasping the back of the thigh or the calf, and bringing it towards the torso, flexing foot. And then adding circles with the left foot. One more circle here, this way, and then changing direction. And then pausing as you're ready. And then, if you wish, lifting the nose to the left knee. And then releasing, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh, just below the knee. And then as you're ready, bringing both legs up to the chest, reaching through and clasping the shin, flexing the left foot. And if this feels easy or not enough stretch for you, if you're in that openness in your hips, you have two choices. One is to shift a little bit to the right, and the other option is to just clasp the left foot with your arms like so, where you're pressing open through the hip here and pressing the left calf toward the chest. And then releasing right foot back to earth. Left leg comes up straight. And then bringing hands to hips and pressing lower back down. Taking about to the count of 10 to bring the left leg down. And then bringing left foot to standing. We'll finish this series opening hands wide and once again windshield wiping knees either side. Perhaps turning the head the opposite way. And then coming back into stillness as you're ready and pausing here. And then turning onto your side, bringing the knees so that they're coming straight out at right angles and your legs are down. And whichever side you're on, bringing the arms straight out, and then bring the top hand, the top arm, so it's the two palms connect. So knees are bent so you have some support. Arms are on top of each other with the palms facing each other. And then the top hand is going to begin a circle. So you're going to bring keep the fingertips on the earth all the way around as you bring it up above your head, as far as you can reach, keeping the fingertips, and then allow the torso to roll over, keeping the left arm stable. And keep the fingertips on the earth as best you can. And then bring that circle, keeping the fingers on the earth all the way to the buttocks. And then across the hips. And then finishing the circle. So 2 more circles just like this. This, as you can imagine, as you can feel, is really about that shoulder and under the armpit. If somewhere calls you to pause, if you feel an opening somewhere, that is your opening. Pause there. And then when you're ready, continue with the fingertip circle. And then the final 3rd circle. Once again, if you wish to pause, with the fingertips above the head or over to the right. And then as you're ready, bringing the hand back so that the palms are facing each other again. And then either roll onto the opposite end of your mat or roll over to the other side, whatever fits for you. So you're going to bring yourself into the same position. Knees are bent straight out from hips. So you've got an L shape. Arm under the lower arm is straight out from the shoulder, and the top arm is resting on top of it with the palms together. And the head is on the floor. And then once again, those fingertip circles, keeping the fingertips on the ground, raising it above, and then the whole torso rolls over and pausing wherever calls you. So completing 3 or 4 of these circles. I don't know about you folks, but boy, that top left corner there, when I put the back of my hand on the ground and reach my fingertips up, that opens an extraordinary part of my body that nowhere else touches. And then one last final circle, pausing if you wish in that, if you get the same openness that I get in that top left quadrant. Oof. And then coming back with palms, arms on top of each other, legs bent. Come back to one moment of stillness here. And then coming up onto your hands and knees in cobra. Nope, not in cobra, in table. My apologies. So you're in table with the hands right under the shoulders, the knees right under the hips. The back is flat. Bring the shoulder blades down the back and then tuck the chin looking down, pressing the feet down on the earth. And then begin these deeper spine awakening, dropping down through the lower spine and then radiating till you look up at the sky. And then exhale opposite direction. And following your own breath for the next moment or so. And then one more each way. And then come back into stillness. And I'm going to invite you to come down onto your elbows, keeping them right underneath the shoulders, and then clasp the hands. And then bring the right knee in towards the left. So the right knee is at the center. And we're going to do circles with the hips here. So you're going to bring the left knee in close to the right, and then bring the left knee back and along and bring the foot up to the sky. So you're going to add hip circles here. And then bring the left knee forward. And then complete circles here, awakening that hip, warming it up. And then changing direction of the circles. One more circle. And then bringing that left knee down and bringing that towards the center. And the right knee presses up against it. And then the right hip, you beginning the circles with the right hip. Slow circles, allowing the hip to really move in its socket. One more this way. And then changing direction. Opening the whole hip as wide as you can. One more circle. Coming back to stillness and bringing the toes together and the knees wide apart. And sliding back onto your belly into wide angled child. Bringing hands forward and forehead to earth. And then wherever you are with your forehead down, walk the hands forward a little bit more. And then imagine a slight pressure as you're pressing your hips back towards the heels. And then move the whole torso without moving the hips toward the left. Inching that right hand outward. Pressing back with the right hip. And then walking the whole torso to the opposite side. And then one more breath. Bringing hands back to center. Coming back up to table. Moving into downward dog. And pausing here, alternating heels towards the earth. Bringing the weight to the base of the fingers so that you're not putting too much weight on the wrists here. And then energetically invite the shoulder blades to roll outward as you open through the armpits. And then the invitation is to come into stillness here, pressing, opening, inviting. And then we're going to bring the right foot forward and leave the left foot back where it is. So you can do that by little steps. You can swing it forward in between the hands. You're going to come into a lunge here. The hands on either side of the right foot at the front. The right knee is right over the right ankle. And adjust yourself so that you feel you're in the right opening here. You can wiggle your back foot back a little, come up onto the fingertips. Then bring both hands to the inside of the right foot. Maybe wiggle the right foot out a little bit. And then once again, adjust the back foot. Right knee is directly over right ankle. If this is too intense, always feel free to drop the knee to the earth. And then let's all drop the back knee to the earth. Then we're going to move into pigeon from here. So you're going to bring the hands on either side of the front foot and wiggle it towards the middle. And then keep wiggling that foot over. So you're on the outside of the right foot at the front. And then bring it back towards the left thigh and drop onto the knee at the front. And drop onto the thigh at the back, the hip. So what I want you to look for here is the back leg, the left leg, straight out from the hip. So you're not straining the hip in any way. And you can bring the heel toward the left hip or towards the groin, or you can kind of wiggle it a bit. What we don't want to do is strain the knee. The full pose, some of you might know, is with the right angle, the right leg at a right angle. But for most of us, that's a little intense on the knee. It strains the joint. So just kind of play a little bit here to find what fits for you. You want your right hip down on the ground so that there's no strain there. So if there's any strain, then take a pillow and just slide it under that hip so that there's a bit more stability here. I should be showing you from this angle. So if this right hip is not on the ground, you're just going to put a little pillow under that right hip to support you. And you're going to aim to have the hip square. That's your goal here, is to have the hip square. The right heel is towards the groin. The back foot is flat, straight out. And then you can see that we're aiming to be square here, the way I'm facing the camera. You can come onto your fingertips and kind of press up. tuning into the spine here, the lower back especially. And then we're going to walk the hands forward, coming into forward fold in pigeon. So you're going to move your hands, and then maybe your forehead reaches all the way down, or maybe you build fists or bring a pillow, kind of finding what fits for you here. And one more breath here. And then slowly walk back up, your hands on either side. Come back onto my mat. So we're going to come up from here onto table. So what I want you to do is kind of raise the back leg and then bring the front knee, the right front knee back so that you're in table position. And just pause here for a moment. And do several cat-cows, kind of tuning into that whole right side. And then moving back into downward dog. Alternating heels. And then swing or walk the left foot up so it's between the front legs. And then staying in a lunge here, first keeping the knee off. The front left knee is over the front left ankle and hands are on either side of the foot. You can always drop that right knee. And then let's all drop the right knee and find just the right distance as we're gently opening up here. Bringing hands to the inside, you're going to begin to walk that left foot out a little bit. And then tilt so you're kind of on the outside of the left foot a little bit. And then begin to walk the left foot towards the right hand, coming into pigeon other side. So once again, taking a moment or so to set up the foundation. So looking back and checking your right leg, we want it straight out of the hip with the foot flat. And then you want the left hip to be the left thigh to become straight out of the left hip. The heel comes towards the groin. And if this hip isn't fairly close to the ground, if the left hip isn't fairly close, then you want to put a pillow underneath there to support it so they're not straining the joints. So taking a moment or so to settle yourself. And then walking the hands backward, coming up onto the fingertips and squaring up the hips, the shoulders. And then dropping down into forward fold pigeon. Perhaps you're on your elbows and the head stays up, or you make fists with the hands and the head rests, or you might come all the way down to the earth. One more breath here. And then slowly rising back up onto the hands. And then once again, sliding that left knee back under and coming into table. Stabilizing body. And then returning to cat-cow. Tuning into the spine, the hips. Then coming back into stillness. And then moving on to your belly. But first, you can either move straight onto your belly or you can come onto your forearms again, as we did earlier when we were doing the hip opening, clasping the hands and putting elbows right under the shoulders, and then move into plank. You can come right onto the balls of the feet, or you can bring the knees down if that's more comfortable for you. And then when we're ready, we'll all join together with the belly down, the head down, turning onto one cheek or the other, and allowing the entire body to soften, to come into ease. And then bringing the forehead to the earth, bringing the hands down beside the hips, the palms down, and bring them about 6 or 8 inches from the hips. Press down with the feet and the knees, and do a slight cat tilt in the lower back. And then raise the torso on the arms and the legs, knees slightly bent. And then release. Inhale, rising up once more into stillness. And then exhale. And then you can either add a few more here or we can come into a holding. So again, once again, inviting the torso, the arms, and the legs to rise up, the knees slightly bent. And pausing here. Tuning into the lower back. And then release, hands come under chest and moving up into child's pose. Let's do the traditional child's pose with the knees together and the feet together and bring the hips back. And the hands come down beside the shins and the calves and then bring the forehead to the earth. One more breath here. And then coming up onto the knees. Pausing here for just a moment. And then swinging onto the sits bones and swinging legs forward so they're stretched out in front of you. And pausing in Dandasana, hands beside hips. Raising palms up together. So palms are facing each other, not touching, and reaching up to the sky, and then taking a moment or so to slowly fold forward, finding just the right spot for your hands, whether it's thighs, knees, shins, or feet, and then bringing nose toward knees. 3 more breaths right here, allowing the mind and the body to come into stillness as best you can. And then as you're ready, slowly walking back up, pausing here with eyes closed. And then crossing legs and dropping right ear to right shoulder, bringing left hand beside hip. And then you can stay here, or you can bring the right hand up to just let the weight open. And then release the right arm and begin circles with the chin. So first bring it back to center, and then turning and tucking in, bringing the chin, drawing it across the chest. And then if it feels right to just begin slow circles here. You might feel crinkliness or hear crinkliness. Pausing in anywhere that calls you. Try hands down beside hips and notice what that's like. And one more circle this way, and then changing direction. And one more circle this way. And then pausing and dropping the left ear to the left shoulder. And then if you wish to add the left arm, One more breath here. Coming back to center. And then you can either stay in cross-legged or you can move toward hero, which you might remember is the underleg, the heel coming close, and then you're aiming to have the knees on top of each other, kind of really tuning in and making sure there's no strain on the knees. So aiming to have both knees together and the heels back. You're kind of aiming to have both sits bones down on the earth. If that feels like too much strain, then sit in cross-legged. Kind of feel what fits for you. And then invite the right arm to come up behind, perhaps helping it with the left. And then reach around and clasp, reach up toward the left fingers, and then press back with the head slightly. You're aiming for the opening between in the right armpit and the left shoulder. And then releasing, bringing the right arm under the left arm to the left elbows in the right inner right arm. And then reach around and aiming to clasp the palms together, but you might have the back of the hands together. And then press the elbows and the hands up to the sky, keeping the chin slightly tucked as you raise the hands up. And slowly dropping the elbows back down, releasing the hands. And pause here for a moment and just feel the sense of touch on your body, the sense of affection for yourself. And then if you were sitting cross-legged or sitting in hero pose, bringing the feet before you, and then invite the legs to come up in the air, at first holding underneath the knees or the thighs. Drop the shoulders and feel the strength in the lower back. And then if you wish, you can bring the hands out along the calves. And then when you're ready, switching to the opposite, either heroes or opposite, cross-legged if you were sitting with one leg forward and one leg not. So finding the right position for you here. And then pausing in stillness for a moment. If you're in heroes, bringing hands to soles of feet. If you're in cross-legged, bringing hands to on top of knees. Closing eyes. And then bringing left arm behind head, palm facing down, and then help it with the right. And then the right arm comes around behind and the two hands reach toward each other, pressing back with the head. And one more breath. And releasing. And this time, instead of the left elbow, let's see, what did we have last time? That's right, we had the left elbow and the right. You're going to switch to the opposite. the right elbow in the left, and then wrap the hands, either perhaps coming with the back of the hands, or if it works for your shoulders and arms, bringing the palms together-ish, and then raising the hands and the elbows up in the sky, keeping chin tucked. And one more breath here. And then slowly releasing the arms, pausing to pat yourself with affection. And then slowly releasing. And coming onto your back with knees to chest. Rocking side to side. And then bringing hands out into T and left foot to standing. Crossing right leg over left. So that the thighs are pressed against each other. Shifting hips a little bit to the right. Dropping legs to the left. And then adjusting that left shoulder, picking it up and moving it. Palms are down on the earth in T, and then turning and slowly looking over the right shoulder. And slowly releasing. And then switching to the other side. And then taking one more breath here. And then slowly move yourself back to center and preparing for your Shavasana, adding a blanket or some warm clothes or socks. And then as you feel yourself settle, allowing the body to come into stillness, Taking any last movements necessary so that you can be as comfortable as you can. And then allow the whole body to move into stillness. And inviting the mind to come into stillness. Trusting I'll bring you back when it's time. And then slowly, slowly, beginning to wiggle the fingers and the toes. And if you wish, adding circles of the wrists. And maybe turning head from side to side. Perhaps reaching up above the head. Stretching the body. And then when you're ready, turning onto your side body for a breath or two. And coming back to seated, taking your time. Hand to namaste before the heart. And then bowing first to your own internal light, to the gift of life itself, and what the body can do, and perhaps areas where it can't do, and just acknowledging those. Allowing the mind and the body to be together, to be yoked through yoga. And then bowing to our friends, our yogis, and to any higher powers, spirit of your choice. And I've got a reading for you. You don't need to leave your room. Remain sitting at your table, and listen. Don't even listen, simply wait. Don't even wait. Be quite still and solitary. The world will freely offer itself to you. It has no choice. It will roll in ecstasy at your feet. It's by Kafka, but it's out of The Wisdom of Yoga by Stephen Cope. I loved that. It will roll in ecstasy at your feet. Thank you for joining me in today's yoga.